Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this reloaded edition of After Hours AM. We are back better than ever. It's been a little while. I was really surprised how much you guys missed me. So I guess I'm back, and that's awesome. And I missed being with you guys too. So we are back. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I got some stuff to announce quickly, though, before we get to our guest. And that's really why you guys come here, right? You want to see Gwendolynn Guthrie. You're like, Joel Sturgis, who? Screw that guy. I want to see her. Okay, so here's the deal. We got lots of investigations coming up. Oh my good Lord. It's been an awesome month already. Game booked for a lot of stuff. So look for a May 20th, or June 20th, rather. Sorry, we're already almost into June. June 20th investigation of the Greyhound Bus Museum in Hibbing, Minnesota. Super haunted. And I'll be there. You can be there. Tickets aren't that expensive. They're like 75 bucks. It's all night, like all you can do and run around and investigate and stuff like that. Another one we are going to be doing is the Boyd House. That will be July 31st. I'll be there all night. So will you, because I know you're going to want to come. But here's the catch of that one. You got to act really fast because guess what? It only holds 7 investigators. It's a house. It only holds 7 people. So if you want to go and you want to be a part of that, you better get into that now. That is listed over on Eventbrite. That one, both of these are. Get your tickets. And then in July, this is another July date, I will be starting to do regular investigations at the Lyric Opera House. Super haunted over there, part of the vaudeville circuit. So we got that going on. And if that's not enough, guys, I got 5 books coming out before you know it. And I got to give a giant shout out to my editor. She has been just completely awesome. And that is Brittany Seifert. She has really come in and saved my butt. She's making me look good. I'm just saying. And that is actually a tall order. So that's a tall order to make me look good. But here we are. Okay. So that all being said, it got a ton of stuff going on. Plus, we got killer guests. So without any further ado, we're going to jump right into Gwen. Now, let me go ahead and pull up her bio because quite honestly, guys, she's more than just a pretty face. She's kind of got it all. She's been doing this for more than 2 decades. Gwen Guthrie has immersed herself into the shadowy world of the paranormal, relentlessly investigating ghosts, cryptids, UAPs, which I used to call UFOs, but now they're called UAPs, and the unexplained. Her pursuit of the unknown has taken her deep into the mysteries that blur the line between folklore, eyewitness testimony, and reality itself, expanding her research into the strange phenomena that continues to puzzle the world. As a co-host of The Fold Mysteries, along with her co-host Abe Del Rio, Gwendolyn explores chilling encounters, investigation techniques, and unexplained events each week on YouTube and Facebook. She also joins Gina for the monthly special. What is that called?
Aetherfold.
Aetherfold. There you go. Mysteries. Thank you very much, Gwendolyn. They dive deep into the eerie, the bizarre, the ESP abilities. Oh my God, the lady is a Swiss Army knife of the paranormal. Without any further ado, Gwendolyn Guthrie.
Thank you so much. That's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful. That's revenge, isn't it, for what I did to you, isn't it? That was my 30-page bio. You know?
That was
there you go.
Paragraph compared to your book. You have done so much more than me, for sure.
You know, it's one of those deals. You hang around long enough, you kind of do a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Right. So, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, you know, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack who you are, but I suppose the thing to do would start at the top. You know, what got a nice girl like you into a dirty business like this?
Oh gosh. So initially, you know, I grew up in a religious household, so we didn't talk about the paranormal. It wasn't really a thing that we even discussed. In fact, a lot of times it was very much compared to demonic activity if it was discussed. So, you know, it was taboo to speak about in the house. And then all of a sudden, one night at 12 years old, I had this weird experience with a cat. And it was just like this explosion of paranormal stuff started happening in my life. And the thing with the cat was so minute. It was you could almost like just, fool yourself into thinking like it was nothing. But it was like this cat just stared at me and stared into my soul. And like I reached down to pet it, and it was like a human staring back at me, and like smacked my hand. It was just weird.
Cats are creepy anyway, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, was the black cat, white cat? What kind of cat were we talking?
It was like a white, mostly white, and then had a tabby patches on it. So like brown tabby patches. Very average cat. But it was just like it drew my attention, and I was like, went to pet it, and it just reacted in such a weird way. And I looked at this cat, and all of a sudden it was like this heat just like flooded through me. And the cat just like hissed and ran away. But,
so it gave you the "I don't like you" hiss, runs away. Yeah. Was there anything paranormal before this with the cat? Was it like doing dishes? No. Was it standing, two legs talking? I mean,
nothing. And the only reason I connect it to this paranormal explosion in my life, it was because it was like right after that, like the same night or the next night. But it stuck in my head, and I kept replaying the scenario. And I was only 12 years old. I was like, that was so weird. What happened? Like, why did I feel that? Like, what was this rush of like weird sort of heat and emotion that like hit me? And it plagued my mind for a little while. And then I started having these precognizant dreams right afterwards, where I went to bed and like these lights were on the ceiling and they were flashing. And I woke up my mom, and I was, "Mom, do you see the lights? Do you see the lights?" And she goes, "No, what are you talking about?" And I was like, It's grandpa. He died." And she goes, "What are you talking about?" And so this neighbor that we had that lived down the road, we called him Grandpa. And I told her, I said, "Please go out and look. Please go out and look." So she walks out and around and down. So there was no way no reflection could get, because we were on the back side of where the lights would have been. And she walked around, and she told me to stay in the house. Of course, I snuck out, and I ran up to her, and she goes, "I told you to stay in the house." And I was like, it is a life squad. It is a life squad. And it was sitting right at his house. So he did. He actually passed.
The cat was the catalyst. No pun intended.
Right. Exactly.
To into your world of the paranormal.
Yeah. And it was such a weird,
but before that,
to most, I guess, but
before that, was it your life was completely normal, right?
Completely normal.
And then you had this run-in with, and the cat was never strange before that, was he? I mean, or was the cat always a little off? Was it?
Well,
because cats do walk that line, don't they? Between,
I remember that we actually found the cat, and my mom remembers finding the cat, but nobody really remembers how we acquired it. But it stayed at my house for a short period. And then after the incident, it ran off, and we never saw it again, ever. But it stayed at my house for like a little while prior to that.
It showed up, and out of nowhere, the cat. And then it left out of nowhere. It's like it did its thing and it left, right? Yeah. And nobody thought this is a little strange afterwards. Did anyone ever say, that was really weird?
I never talked about that until I was an adult, because it was such a weird thing. Like, I mean, how am I supposed to explain that? Even now, repeating it makes me sound crazy.
Oh, yeah. No, it does.
Yeah, but I never talked about it.
You're in good company, though. So, I mean, if you were talking about this anywhere else, they would be getting the jackets ready for you.
Right, exactly.
You're amongst friends that totally get it.
Yeah.
That totally get it,
Right.
Hey, I'm the guy that talked to a dead man for like 10 minutes. So,
yeah, exactly.
Hey, so who am I to say what you got going on?
Right.
Normal or legit.
Yeah, or especially with my family, who was that whole subject was very taboo. So like I wasn't going to tell her that. And I didn't even really think that it was very paranormal like, but it was like something about that experience. Just, I mean, it clicked something in me or something.
Sure.
And it was after that everything started and all the paranormal stuff.
So you have the cat incident. You're having these precognitive dreams.
Yeah. And the shadow people start around the same time.
Oh, geez. So now we're going to throw some shadow people in too. Yeah. So it's almost like the floodgate of the paranormal just all started at one time.
All at one time.
How did you handle this mentally? I mean,
it was hard. Like so it was the shadow people, the precognizant dreams, and the poltergeist like activity. It was all just boom right off the bat. But the first incident was the precognizant dream. That was the first thing. And then after that, it was just like, boom, 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 within a week's time frame. It was just one thing after the other. But as far as like how I handled it, like the first time that something got thrown at me, I went to my mom and I cried. Like, I was bawling. I was like, what just happened? And just the fear was just overwhelming. And, moms, oh, it's nothing, blah, 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 blah.
Well, yeah, because moms, they want to downplay it. They don't want to say to themselves, my kid's a little touched. Right. They don't want to admit that, or they just, moms are the peacemakers. They're the ones that keep everything cool in the house, right? Exactly. How would your father have taken if you would have went up there and said, we got kind of a paranormal cat, Dad? How would he have taken that?
My dad at that point wasn't really around as much, but he was traveling and stuff, so he was away. But he would have been very open-minded about it, because my dad also grew up experiencing a ton of paranormal stuff. So he would have been very open-minded about it. But it took quite a long time, maybe like 8 months worth of me going to my mom every time something would happen, that she finally started listening to me and telling me, oh, it's probably this, you're freaking me out. And then my mom experienced something for the first time that I had been telling her I was seeing. So she saw the shadow man.
How did she take that?
She went sheet white, because she thought it was me at first. She thought it was me in the reflection. And then I came inside and I told her that wasn't me. And her face went white. She goes, don't you say that. Don't you do that to me, Gwendolyn. Don't you do that to me. And I was like, I'm telling you, that's what I've been seeing, Mom. Like, that's what I've been experiencing. And she goes, I'm so sorry. And she wrapped me up. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I have a real feeling that she had her own experiences that she just didn't talk about then.
She did.
Maybe
later on.
Wanted. Yeah.
Well, prior to me even being born, she had her own experiences. And but she obviously, we then a taboo. We never talked about it. So
did she have a real fear of the paranormal? Is that what was going on because of her experiences?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. But as far as like after I was born, I guess she didn't experience anything after I was there. We lived in a house that was haunted, I guess, before I had memory, and I was just a baby. But after they moved out of that house, nothing happened. So yeah, that was the first time in a long time that she'd experienced anything since I was a baby.
And so when she came out to you, so to speak, about the paranormal, was it real emotional? Was it just, because she said, don't tell me, don't mess with me like that.
Yeah.
So that speaks to, like you'd said earlier, a lot of fear. But when she finally came to that realization, was it like a bonding moment, or was it more stressful? Did activity ramp up after that because now more people are knowing? Because that'll happen once in a while, because now more energy is being dedicated to it. What happened after that?
As for me, I think it was a bonding experience between me and her. For me, I don't really know how she kind of took it in the moment, but in that moment, that experience for her was very frightening, because it was still very new. It just happened. When she would talk about the stuff from her past, she almost seemed like excited, like it's cool that I lived through this.
Yeah.
But there's that time frame of adjustment where it becomes going from scary to, hey, I lived through this, and exciting.
Yeah.
But as far as the activity level ramping up, it all stayed relatively the same. I mean, it was happening pretty frequently already. So it's continued on the same level.
When you say shadow people, do you mean, because there's a lot of categories of shadow people, what kind of shadow people are you referring to?
Well, I said shadow person for that one that my mom saw, because she saw the full silhouette. For me, it's typically blobs. It's a blob that moves through the room. And
what do you think that is?
I really just think it's energy that I'm able to see. I just think it's energy. The shadow in the moment never interacts with me. Like when I hear audible things, it usually sounds like it's talking through a closed door or coming from the next room. It's never the shadow that I'm seeing right in front of me.
Yeah.
I just think it's
Yeah.
energy that's moving. And I don't honestly know if some of the shadows that I see are even intelligent. I think maybe it's just an energy mass. I mean, there's a lot of things have energy.
Well, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Everything does. Everything pretty much has energy. Everything living has energy. For
right.
sure. So when do you see them even to this day? Is this something that you're witnessing now?
Yeah.
Or okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been with you your whole life since
Yeah.
the cat.
Yes. Yeah. It's never went away.
Eh,
It's like a roller coaster ride. It dies off and then it ramps back up and then it dies off and then it ramps back up. It's like, it's almost like taking a little bit to collect energy
Is
again
is there
before.
certain times a year that it's more prevalent than others?
Not necessarily. It's
Hmm.
just very random.
Yeah.
It's, you can kind of almost sense the energy
Sure.
before you have this big explosion of activity. And it'll be like boom, 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 one thing after another for a week to a month. And then it'll die back down again. And it could die down for 2 weeks, 6 months before it ramps back up again. It's just so sporadic.
Okay. Well, no, a lot of people they'll have stuff like that happen to them around important dates,
Mm-hmm.
anniversaries of someone's dying, or traumatic anniversaries. I've heard that several times that things just ramp up during this time, because, and I think a lot of that is attributed because they're experiencing more grief at that point too, because they're
Mm-hmm.
remembering that anniversary. So it's not uncommon for those people to go through that. But yours is really an outlier because
Yeah.
there's no reason why. I mean, other than you pet a cat, that you're chosen to go through this. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't seem overly concerned about it. I mean, let me back up.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have your concerns about it, but it's been happening so long, probably at this point, that you've come to terms with it.
Exactly. Exactly. There are times where I do get nervous. And that's when, because I feel like mostly I am able to keep control of the situation, contain
Sure.
my environment in a peaceful way. But after my mom passed, connection to the emotion thing, after my mom passed, it was awful. It was awful. I mean, things would just, and I know that for some people this is going to sound crazy, but I actually caught it on camera. Things would just apport into my space. Just to give an example, it happened twice. So the first time was this glass that just apported out of nowhere that I knew for a fact was in my kitchen, and it shatters in the middle of my floor. The second time that what I actually caught on camera was I was a poisonous centipede, and my daughter came in, and I was telling her about some things that had happened, and she says, "Well, come on, bring it on. I'm ready to tango." And I'm like, "Don't do that. Never, ever, ever welcome this type of stuff when you're already dealing with this high amount of energy. Don't do that." She goes, "I'm not scared of it. Tell it to come on. Tell it to come on." And she turns around, she walks away, and she leaves my bedroom. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said, Ezra, you better hope nothing happens from this."
Yeah.
And right then I'm reaching for a makeup compact, and I put my hand on my bed, and you can see on camera there's nothing there. And then all of a sudden a centipede just appears, because I have cameras in my house because I try to capture this stuff. A centipede just appears, and it starts crawling towards my hand, and I look down right before it gets to my hand.
Do you think this is possibly a PK event?
It could be. I have had that theory that that's a real
I mean, the
possibility.
glass kind of fits the
Yeah.
PK event. The centipede, not so much. I haven't seen where live animals usually are not part of a PK event.
Yeah.
And out of the objects are glass is
Yeah.
smashed against the wall and this and that. That's interesting. And what was your reaction when the centipede shows up?
I immediately screamed, freaked out.
Oh,
I
yeah.
swung it off my bed. I picked it up a tissue, tossed it outside. And then I went and got my daughter, and I'm going through the camera, like, look what you just did. Look what you just did to me. And I pull up and you can see it. And I'm like, watch, I guarantee you that thing was not there. And you can see it appear on the camera because I had a light beige sheet on my bed, and you could see this dark black mass just grow and elongate, and it becomes a centipede.
So you have it on camera. Where
I
it
do.
actually came into, I guess, our dimension.
Yes.
It had to come from somewhere.
Somewhere.
And wow, that I've never heard. I've been doing this a few years. I've never heard where creatures are, bugs are. I mean, other things, yeah, but never like a centipede on camera.
Yeah. Also, oftentimes that very quick infestation of insects or bugs is connected to something demonic.
Generally speaking, but okay, I am no expert in the demonic. I will
Yeah.
tell you right now, I've not got out of my way to learn about the demonic. So normally there's other factors that, from what I understand, and I am not a demonologist in the least, but I understand that there's other factors that come about with an infestation.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just so weird. Did you have like smell of sulfur? Did you have anything else going? Just nothing that would.
No.
That is absolutely crazy. That
Yeah.
is. Oh, that's one on me. You got me.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that video.
Yeah, I'll have to
love
find
see
it because I think all of my videos from that phone are stored in my old computer. So I'm going to find it because that is one of like my cherished videos because I've never seen anybody capture anything actually reporting before.
Yeah.
And so that's one of my cherished videos. So I know I pulled it from my phone and I got in a file, but it's on my old computer. So I got to charge it. And actually it might be on my OneDrive. So I'll just look through it, but I'll send it to you because it's pretty wild. And
I'd love to see that. I'd like to post it. If you don't mind, I'd like to post it for the after hours.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And so they can take a look at that too. And because we like a weird thing every now and again.
Yeah.
They like weird things just like I do, but that's beyond the weird. That is something else. Now we got to shift gears a little bit. We're going to get away from the ghosts, which is awesome. Love ghosts. Talk about it all night. Doesn't bother me a bit. You do a radio show or a podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what's that called?
That is
I know I said it. Yep.
Yeah.
I know I said in the bio. Now you have a co-host with you, am I correct?
Correct. Abe Del Rio.
Gotcha. Abe is a good dude. Abe is a really good dude. And and it wouldn't be a show with you on without bringing your co-host with.
Stop.
So, we got to bring you both on. We got to put the band back together from the other night. Good friend of mine, as everybody listening After Hours AM knows Abe very well. I've had him on the air several times throughout the years, and we've talked Bigfoot. We've gone up and down the road together. Abe is the founder of MNBRT and my brother. I love him. He's my family. And so he is here to come in on our conversation about Bigfoot. And Abe, how you doing, brother? You need, a microphone needs to be turned on. Yeah. No, I'm not good at reading lips. I am lip blind. Oh, here we go. So anyhow, while he's doing that, and he's trying to figure out what he's got going on. So going back to what you were talking about. No, unmute yourself, sir.
He's unmuted. I think you need to plug in whatever you're using for a mic and then unplug it, plug it back in, and select microphone.
So technical difficulties coming back. Hey, there he is. I think we got him now. I hope we got him now. Oh, no, we don't. And, that's just as well.
Yeah.
Anyhow. Sure, yes,
well,
to hear that, right?
Now.
We can hear you.
Yeah. There's something going on with headphones and headphones, but I was sorry for that. Holy smokes, I got goosebumps listening to you. And I'm definitely here just to. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
we
cool.
definitely
Great.
hear you. Yep.
You got good
sound like you're broadcasting live from a Coke can, but here we are. We are all live.
I was. Oh no. Just having. Holy smokes. this whole cat. I've never had a cat, and I don't think I will.
Well, cats are good to have. I mean, I have a cat. I have a black cat. I love him. He's like 18 years old now, so he doesn't know where he is half the time. But
I know that cat.
Yeah, you know that cat.
I know that cat.
So when you guys, your show, you guys got this podcast that's going on, and I've heard good things about it. In fact, I was on the podcast. It was a good time. You guys have a really good chemistry. How did that come about? The show, not the chemistry, the show.
Well, actually, it started with a different co-host. But there was, he decided to take some time off and take care of his health. There was some things going on there, which, he's still a great member of the Fold Mysteries. But Abe, he was actually on as a guest. And I reached out to him afterwards and I said, hey, I would love to have you on here again next week. And so we had him on again, and he actually brought somebody with him, which became our guest. And it worked out so well. I just, I begged him, please keep on with the Fold Mysteries, because you and I together, I think we'd have great chemistry. And he brings just so much to the show. I mean, just a whole other level of interest and excitement. So, I was honored to have him come step in as the co-host spot.
Wow, man.
Yeah. Well,
I've never had a co-host love me that much, Abe. Normally they're like, that son of a gun. I tell you, that co-host.
Yeah, usually they're like, get the pitchforks and light the torches, right? So
right, yeah.
But
that's normally. Why do you think I fly solo? I mean,
I couldn't be more happy than working with somebody with the likes of Gwendolyn, really. And I was just totally honored and flattered when she asked me to stay on. And, the chemistry, the camaraderie, and everything is there. It's serious, it's in depth, it's lighthearted, it's funny, and it's real. The Fold Mystery is absolutely real. And it's just fun all the way around. We have a great time every Thursday.
Just to let you know, Gwendolyn, Abe loves ghosts. He's big into ghosts.
So I heard.
I'll be chasing ghosts around, and he'll look at me like I'm crazy. That's for another time. But now let's dive into Bigfoot. Because all these sightings cannot be crazy people, right? I mean, look at all the sightings from all different walks of life. I mean, there's something to it. What do you guys think that's all about?
And what a perfect segue, Joe, to I mean, I don't know if you know him, but Gwendolyn was also on a show. And she has an amazing Bigfoot encounter that just makes my hairs stand on end, really. Like literally right now, I got goosebumps, my hair is standing on end when I'm thinking about her encounter. And was this your first encounter, or was that your scariest? Oh my gosh. So talking about going into the Bigfoot world and always hearing these things and have happen what she had happen, would you be willing to share that?
Yeah.
All right, lay it on us. Well, what happened? Take it from the top.
All right. So this was my first real encounter, what I can call an encounter. And so what happened was another investigator and I is actually his investigation spot. So he was like, hey, I'd like to take a group of people out to just show them how to look for Bigfoot. So it was a small group and they paid, and I guess it went to the college, and the college let us stay overnight, I guess is how it all worked. So there was the whole area was owned by a college. It was mountains in Peoria, Kentucky. And so we took this group of people out, and they're looking for, tree breaks, signs of what Bigfoot would need to survive, just all this different stuff. And we got about halfway up the mountain, and they decided we're going to go. We got this party. They were all college students. So they were all at this party to go to. And me, another gentleman named Kenny, and then another investigator, all decided we were going to keep going up the hill. Now, just to give you a little background on Kenny, he's a Bigfoot enthusiast, which means he's never went out actually researching for Bigfoot. So he was very excited for the opportunity to be in what was previously a Bigfoot hot location. So we decided we were going to go all the way up. We go to this outcropping. There's this sunset and it's beautiful. We get caught up watching the sunset. And then finally I turn around and I look, and in the trees, it's already getting dark. And I'm like, hey, guys, we need to get that back down. I said, does anybody have flashlights? We're looking for flashlights. And Kenny happened to bring 3 flashlights, a broken headlamp that worked, quite well.
Yeah, that's what I was bringing.
A dim battery dying flashlight, and then another very dim headlight that actually worked. So that actually fit on your head, but it was dim. So we had 3 really messed up sources of lighting. So we're like, we got to get out of here fast. And we decided we're going to take the short way down, which, by the way, is the most dangerous way because it's just a very rocky, it's called a level 3 hiking trail. So it's like,
okay. Time up for a second.
Yeah.
So here you are. I'm trying to paint a picture here. Here you are in the woods. Little to no light.
Yeah.
Right. You guys are like, you know what? We got little to no light. We gotta get back. I have the great idea. Let's take the worst possible way back. That way, when I die, I'm blind. That way I don't know it's coming. What the hell are you guys thinking? Really? What's going through your head? That's nuts.
So I was unfamiliar with this place. I'm going to blame this on Mike, the other investigator.
Hold on. So now you're also unfamiliar.
Yes,
with no
I
light
am.
In the
Mike,
most dangerous
the other
place.
investigator,
Oh, this is getting great.
was very familiar. Yeah. Mike, the other investigator, was very familiar. He goes, let's go this way. And he goes, it's the harder way down. You got to watch your footing. Be very careful. And when we get a little bit of the way down, he's like, oh, by the way, look at this. And we look over and there's this giant crevice that you can't see the bottom of.
Oh, so crevasse you could possibly fall down to your death. Boy, this is just getting better and better as we go.
I'm like,
you're like the poster child, what not to do on an investigation.
Well, yes. In this circumstance, yes. So everything I say, don't do it. And so we're like, okay, we're literally almost butt scooting because at this point I'm like, oh, no. We are not just taking steps here. We're sliding so that we always have at least 3 points of contact. Okay. And so we're getting down, and as we're sliding down these slippery rocks because, it's October.
Here we go. And, it just rained too, right? We got to make sure.
Well, it's October. The dew's starting to settle because it was still warmer out. And so the dew's settling on the rocks and it's getting slicker. So we're sliding down. And next thing you know, Mike hears this sliding sound above us. He's like, stop. And I'm like, what? And Mike is the other investigator. He goes, do you hear that? And then I'm like, no. And he goes, are you sure? And then all of a sudden you hear it's like a sliding sound. And I'm like, I hear it. There's something up there and it's following us down. And he goes, yeah, let's go. He goes, we need to get on dirt. We need to get on dirt and off the rocks. So we're sliding down. We get down. We're finally on at least dirt. It's still relatively steep, but we're on at least dirt. And we all stop and we're listening. And you can still hear it. It's like slide, slide, slide. And I can't think of any animal. I mean, other than maybe a bear, but why would you be sliding down very stealthily behind a group of 3 people? They're more like they charge in and take control.
Yeah, they're not really known for when they want their presence to be known, they let it be known.
Exactly. So,
and black bears, generally speaking, they run away from humans more than they run towards humans.
100%.
So, yeah.
So I'm thinking there's no other possibility. This has got to be a Bigfoot. So I'm starting to get excited. I'm not scared at this point. I'm like actually excited. I'm like, okay. And then Mike kind of gets me a little bit because he's like, if we need to run, there's no way to get out of here safely. This is still too steep. Let's get on flatter ground. I'm like, okay. So we go down and we get on relatively flatter ground. We're on dirt. We're back on a regular trail now. We're still pretty far into the woods. And he's like, all right, let's do some investigating. I'm like, yes. All right, let's do this. So he decides he's going to do a wood knock. Do a wood knock.
Flashlight. Yeah.
No, he picks up a big stick. Swacks the tree, and nothing happens. And so I'm like, okay. Expected, because every other time I've ever done it, I have nothing happen. And so he's like, I'm going to do a whoop. I don't really like to do those just because you don't really know what you're saying. It sounds very aggressive to me, like just that booming call. Any other time, any other creatures do it, it's an aggressive tactic. But I'm like, okay, great. This is your investigation. Go for it. And so he does his whoop and nothing. So he's like, taps me. He says, do a girly whoop. I'm like, what's a girly whoop?
Yeah, like,
and
okay.
I asked him, like, what's a girly whoop? He goes, I don't know. Just try to sound more feminine. And I'm like, okay. No pressure. Okay. So I do this high-pitched whoop. Well, sure enough, we get a whoop back, which I was not expecting. And so I get bright-eyed and I'm like, my eyes wide. I'm like, we got something. And at this point, I'm just like getting more and more excited. And then all of a sudden you start hearing bipedal steps. So you can tell the cadence of these steps is very bipedal sounding.
Now going towards you, would you say, or away from you?
On the side of us. So so there's an incline and a decline, and we're right in the center. So the path is kind of cut right out of the side of the mountain. It's not super, super steep, but the incline, decline on my side. So if I was facing up the hill, the incline is going to be on my right side, decline's on my left side. We're hearing these sounds on the decline portion of where we are. And so I'm like, there's something around us. And he goes, I hear it. So we he breaks out his recorder and he starts doing a YouTube live. So the idea was there is potential that Bigfoot can corrupt recordings. So we're going to capture it live. So it's always going to be there. So that was the purpose of the YouTube live. So he starts his YouTube live. He had half a battery on his phone. It zaps within like 5 minutes. Gone. Battery gone. So I was like, okay, mine's fully charged. I'll do it on mine. Well, my battery didn't zap, but we didn't know it. But about 9 minutes into everything, the video actually starts corrupting live. So you can still see the video where it corrupts and cuts.
So I got a question for you really quick. What is your theory on the corruption of video in Bigfoot?
I think, and I know a lot of people say infrasound, I think that if Bigfoot has this possibility of being able to emit some sort of frequency, EMF is what I'm going to say, to disrupt not just our equipment, but also that paranoia that people experience sometimes of getting zapped. Mm-hmm. I think that fits both of those boxes pretty well. If Bigfoot is somehow able to emit an EMF. And I know that sounds wild. It's a wild theory, but that is the most logical theory that I could explain to come up with why people's equipment cuts, why batteries die, why things get wiped, and also why people experience paranoia, because with EMF, high EMF, it can actually affect the brain, cause paranoia, cause hallucinations, and it can actually be dangerous over a long period of time.
Why do you think they use that? What do you think that the reasoning for using infrasound is?
I think that it depends on the scenario. So if people are coming in very buoyant and boisterous or angry and aggressive, I think it could be a defense mechanism. It's a way to protect themselves and to not be seen. And I do think that Bigfoot has a higher consciousness alongside ourselves beyond what an animal has.
So you're saying that they use infrasound more like a non-lethal weapon.
Right. Yeah.
Makes sense. The get away from me, or I'm going to buy some time to get out of here, maybe.
Right. Weapon. Exactly. And I mean, it might sound magical, wild, and crazy, but at the same time, I mean, lions roar, dolphins emit infrasound. I mean, 100 years ago, that would be wild, crazy, and outrageous to people.
Yeah.
So I think it's just something maybe we don't understand yet, but that's the most logical thing to explain all of these things that happen.
Sure. Well,
say the experience.
getting back to your story, you got Bigfoot coming in.
Yeah.
You're sitting there in the middle of the woods, bad flashlights, knocking on wood, doing the wood knocks, doing the calls. You're trying to do your best impression of a female Sasquatch. Then what happened?
Go ahead, Abe. I hear you.
A female Sasquatch whoop sound like.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, and when you did do that, did Bigfoot come out of the woods looking extra happy?
Okay. So I don't know if he was extra happy, but it definitely drew curiosity because that's when things started really happening. That's when it kind of opened the floodgates. We started getting whoops back. We started hearing distant growls. We started getting wood knocks back. And it was, it was very spaced out. It wasn't one right after the other. We'd do a few things. We wouldn't get anything. And then we'd get a wood knock back. So it was not super repetitive. And it was like maybe 10 minutes apart of different things that would happen.
How many? Okay. Would you say there was more than one? Bigfoot?
Oh, yeah. Because after we heard the one on the decline portion of the trail where we were, we heard it moving. And I'm like, there's something down below us. And Mike and Kenny heard it as well. And then all of a sudden we hear another set that's separate from the first set on the same decline. And the next thing you know, on the incline, we hear another set. And it ended up being like maybe 5 to 6 different sets of steps we were hearing on each side of us. And I'm thinking, they're surrounding us. And as long as they don't block our way out, I'm happy. I'm good. They're just curious. It felt very curious. Their behavior felt very curious. And so I decided another great idea that I had this non-scented perfume that was supposed to bring out your natural pheromones. So I put it on.
So you decide that you're going to put on, for all of my hunter friends out there, basically you're deciding to put doe and heat estrus on your body while you've been doing female Bigfoot calls and they're surrounding you. Wow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting time to decide to break out the lure there. Yeah. I'm just saying.
It was actually funny because I didn't tell anybody I was going to do it because I could already tell that Mike was a little put off. It was like they were coming in pretty close. So he was a little put off. I felt like not scared, but cautious. But Kenny, poor Kenny, he was about to have a heart attack. He was turning white. He was sweating bullets. He was complaining of his chest hurting. And Mike's like telling me, we should probably get out of here. And I'm like, this is getting good. So I squat down, I open up my bag and I'm like, haha, I got it. So I put it on and I put this stuff away and Mike looks down at me. He goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, nothing. He goes, "What did you just do?" And I said, "I put on pheromone enhancer." And he goes, "Are you serious? Are you serious?"
Wow.
I said, I'm okay to be bait. Like, this stuff is really getting awesome. Like, this is getting cool.
Sure.
No fear.
I'm not quite sure I'd pick that same.
Well, it's all for science.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could have brought bacon with you.
Well,
but
okay. So in my head, I had never been closer to getting to see a Sasquatch. And that's what I'd been trying for so long. I was not going to give up until one got close enough for me to see it.
And did it?
And no. But I'll tell you what did happen. Kenny was panicking. I mean, he was starting to complain of chest pains. And I had been drawing designs in the dirt, and it was really seeming to pique their curiosity. They were getting closer and closer because they were like, what is this crazy lady doing? So I'm drawing designs in the dirt, and I drew this big circle. And I don't know why, I just felt very safe in this circle. And there's a long story behind like the circle and the designs, but it was like Native American-esque.
You do know a Squatch would walk right through your circle and rip you up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. But it
You'd
was
be
like
like, yeah, nice circle you got there.
Well, hold on now, because I mean, I'm sure you know from investigations that sometimes salt is used in the circle as a
Mhm.
safety zone.
Right.
Sometimes, but okay.
I'll explain the circle.
Not against flesh and blood
Yeah.
animals. That's more of a spiritual thing. That's spiritual.
You're right.
That's not really something I personally would not, and that's just me, and I could be completely wrong, but I wouldn't put it in the realm of stopping a 1,200-pound, or
Yeah.
larger Bigfoot. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to poo-poo on your circle.
No, and your logic makes perfect sense. But it was in my head in the moment. I was so excited by this. All logic was out the window at that point. And this was a Native American symbol that my grandma used to draw. And she said it meant life and luck. And it was also a sort of protection. So that's why I felt protected after drawing it around me. And I'm standing in the center of it. So even though logically that doesn't make sense, but in the moment, I wasn't really being logical. I was just wanting to see a Bigfoot. That was what I wanted. So I said, Mike's like, hey, we got to get Kenny back to the car. He's going to have a heart attack and we're going to have to drag him out of here. And I'm like, you go take Kenny back to the car. Meet me back here. I'll be here when you get back.
Wait. You're telling these two guys to go back to the car and leave you alone after you put the pheromone perfume on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've done the female whoop.
Yeah.
It sounds like a great date. I mean,
I've seen a lot of horror movies that start that way. Yeah, I'm just saying, I guess. How did it all end? I guess we got. Tell us how it ends. It's a happy ending, right? Obviously, you're still here. I'm assuming Kenny's still alive.
Yes. It was a wild ending. It was a wild ending. So Mike's like, no, are you crazy? I'm not leaving you here. And basically the same thing you said. You put the pheromone enhancer on. I'm not leaving you out here. You're going to be by yourself. It's dark. These things are out here. They're really close to us. And I'm like, no, it's okay. I said, I'm recording it.
That's fine. Everyone across the world can watch me die. It's great.
Because at this point, I still think I'm getting it on YouTube Live. Unbeknownst to us, the video had actually completely corrupted. It had stopped on YouTube's end, was still recording on our end. So it looked like I was still getting it to me.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So he's like, no, we need to go. He reaches up and I am in front of the guys from where we just came. So I am closer to where we just came than the guys were. And he reaches up and he grabs my elbow, just pulls it a little bit. He goes, we got to go. And the moment he did that, Big Daddy, that must have been there all along, we had no idea, just comes charging. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm between this thing and the guys. And I'm looking at Mike, and then we hear it, and I turn around, and I've got the video. And, oh, no, at this point, I handed my phone off to Mike. He's got the video. And I got my flashlight and I'm shining it. And all I can think of as it's taken, it took like 5, maybe 6 steps. All I'm thinking of is, what am I going to see when it gets into the view of this flashlight? Because again, my flashlight's only reaching maybe 3 feet in front of me. So I'm shining it and it stops. Like I'm thinking it's going to come face to face with me and I'm going to see this Bigfoot face to face.
Oh, wouldn't that have been creepy?
And I'm just going to die right there.
So you're standing there with your 3-foot long flashlight for beam.
Yeah.
My Bic lighter would probably put out more light, but hey,
right.
You know what?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And you're thinking that you are about to die, that this is probably it for you.
Yeah, I really thought it was just going to throw me and just take crashing down after the guys and throw them around too. So I kind of hunker down to this defensive position. I don't want whatever's going to meet me face to face to think I'm a danger or risk to them. So I kind of hunker down. And then like the moment I do that, it just stops right outside of flashlight view. And we hear this. Whoo, and I'm like, I turn around and I look at the YouTube that Mike's holding and I'm like, okay, it's time to go. And he's like, yeah, let's go.
It was
So,
time to go an hour ago. All right, let's just put it there.
Gentlemen that they are, I kept the back portion of the way down. I stayed.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Stop. Time out. These two guys made you watch their six as they retreated out.
God.
Are you what?
I don't know. I don't think it was intentional. It was just like,
yeah, I'm sure it wasn't at all. Yeah, self-preservation never came into their mind at all.
right. So I'm like, I refuse to turn my back because even though it's an animal, it is something I don't understand. So predatorily speaking, you don't turn your back on a predator. So I kept walking backwards basically the whole way until I felt like it was safe to kind of like walk, with watching my back with my back to it, just so I can see if it came charging at me again. But we got most of the way down before I ever even turned around. Every now and again, I looked to make sure I wasn't walking off the edge. But yeah, they walked ahead. I took the back end of the line and walked the rest of the way down. The whole way, you can hear them walking alongside of us.
At that point, they are escorting you out of the woods, is what they are doing.
Yeah, I said it was like they were corralling us out. Like
they knew it was time to go. The fun was over. You guys need to leave. And that was awfully quite charitable of them to let you leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That speaks to them not being violent.
Exactly.
That they were watching you as much as you were watching them. At any point, if they decided to have taken you guys out, it would have been nothing. It would have been nothing. Pheromone or not.
Right.
It would have been, circle or not, or anything. I mean, really, quite honestly. And there's a question in the chat. Yeah, I've done some crazy things I would not recommend to attract things, especially in the ghostly realm. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
When we don't have Abe, I don't want to give Abe nightmares.
Oh, well, I am protected, you guys. So bring it on. Actually, I got questions about ghosts and all that stuff.
You do?
Well, yeah.
Lay it on us. What?
Well, the story's not done. If you guys want to hear how it ended.
We come this far.
Yeah. So we get down to where we're on level ground. We are on now a blacktop path, but we're not quite out of the woods. And so we get down there, we get excited. They stop trailing us when we kind of leave the tree line. We're still relatively close to tree line, but we stop hearing them. And we're talking about, we're like, wow, that's crazy. And we're comparing stories and like, blah, 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 blah. And we're all really excited. And Kenny's just like, I just really want to go. I just want to get to my car.
Go home, poor Kenny. I just want to go home.
I'm surprised he's still standing.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
And then next thing you know, you hear this giant just explosion, just kaboom. And I immediately go down. Well, it sounded way bigger than that.
Tree.
And then we hear it again, kaboom. And we're like, we need to get to the parking lot. So we get to the parking lot.
That is your classic show of force. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Don't come back.
Oh, yeah. They told us when to leave. We listened. And so there was a fence line. And the moment every single one of our bodies passed that fence line, it was almost like you walked out of this like energy field, because it was like they knew we left. All of a sudden you hear this really long whoop down over the ravine out to, the right-hand side of the parking lot. And then another one up on another ridge, another whoop up on the other ridge. And then it did it again all the way up. And then it did it again. But then all of a sudden they all lit up. Just all these whoops, whoops, whoops. And they were long and drawn out. And there were so many of them that it almost created this wah-wah effect where like you just hear so much of it. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're getting this, because I saw my YouTube at this point going, we're getting this on YouTube. We're getting this on YouTube. So we get out to the car and Mike's like, we got to go. Kenny, he's already gone. As soon as those whoops started, he went to his car. He left. He's gone.
I don't blame
And he's
him.
like, we got to go.
Blame the guy.
No, not especially not ever dealing with this stuff. But
did they ever
finally,
go ahead. Finish your thought. And I have another question for you when you're done with that.
Well, finally we get in the car and we're listening to it as we're driving out of there. We're driving down the road. It's still going on. And I'm like, we got this. And I'm like, process on YouTube Live. And it says, processing failed. And my heart sank.
Oh, so all was for naught.
9 minutes is still on YouTube, and you can hear one growl in it.
Mm.
Now, did these guys ever investigate with you again after this?
Yes, we went back.
Okay.
The whole vibe was totally gone. Kenny, never again. Kenny wouldn't even talk to it until it aired
Kenny
on
was
TV.
done.
It was aired on TV on Terror in the Woods. He never talked about it again until that, and then he refuses to talk about it still. And even during his retelling and just reliving it for the first time after it happened, he was sweating. They had to get him towels and everything else. The
Wow,
producer
this really traumatized him.
Yeah, big time.
On
But
a
me and
deep
Mike
level.
went back. Yeah, me and Mike went back, and it was totally different. I couldn't wait to get out of there. No more excitement, no more. But it wasn't because of what happened previously. The whole place just felt like it was closing in on me, and the whole vibe was different. And it just felt aggressive from the start. From the start.
You again.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, really, honestly, they know you're there. As soon as you close your car door, I mean, they hear the cars coming in. They know. You know, that's the thing. And wow, that's something else. I mean, I saw mine dead on. Like, I saw features and I saw them. And
This one was almost close enough to kiss.
We were having a moment. This one and mine. You know, my encounter was eye to eye, face to face, nose to nose, almost.
Oh my God!
Yeah, but he was across the fire pit too.
Yeah,
you guys were 15 feet.
He looked at me and I looked at him, and there was no BSing with that one. I knew who was in charge right from that moment, and it was not me. Even though I was the one with the rifle, that didn't mean nothing.
Wow,
that didn't mean nothing. I was allowed to leave.
Yeah,
that is what it was. I was allowed to leave.
That's
Yeah.
They only allow you to leave.
Yes. No, there's, you never hear about Bigfoot attacking anyone because the ones who get attacked probably aren't surviving.
Exactly.
That's probably why you're not hearing it, but it's so rare.
Missing
it's so
411.
rare that they actually, in my opinion, it's very rare because I don't think they want to attack us any more than we, should want to attack them. So, I think it's a more of a relationship, kind of, hey, you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone kind of deal. Yeah. And that very well could be it, but they also are in charge. So you get through all this, you see the Bigfoot or you hear the Bigfoot, you deal with all this, you end up being on TV, having an episode dedicated to it, and you still go in the woods to this day. I'm assuming you're still, it looks like you're trekking around. Has anything come that even matches that night?
Not like that. That was very intense. The buildup, I think everything that happened, even prior to the stomping towards us, created that sort of like very intense moment. Just the hearing of the footsteps, the wood knocks, the calls. It was everything that made it so intense. I mean, I think I saw what could have possibly have been a Bigfoot, but it was so dark that it was all I saw was the silhouette. And I watched it walk off. But I argued to myself, like, you can't say it's a Bigfoot unless you see for a fact it's a Bigfoot.
Did you smell anything? Did you smell anything?
Never smelled anything at the same time of having these experiences.
You know what makes me pick my mind about this whole situation? You said this is Mike's place that he's been investigating for quite some time. I wonder if he may have did something to upset them, and they recognized him over his scent and didn't really care that you and Kenny were with them and got you guys back out of there.
Well, the catalyst to the stomping was a direct result of him grabbing my arm. And I think him grabbing my arm looked like a very aggressive and threatening behavior. Mm-hmm. And he was doing it to one of his own. So at that point, they were done. You're being aggressive to even one of your own. You're done. Get out of here.
Yeah. That could be. I mean, I do know that there's other stories about acts of aggression have brought aggression out in them, and that even when the aggression wasn't directed towards them.
Yeah.
It's been, somebody just, being aggressive, yelling at their kids, doing this, doing that, have brought aggression out in them, and so after all this is done and you didn't smell it, you didn't see it, you heard it. So now mine my encounter, I smelled it. I mean, it was just a rancid. Oh my God, I can't even describe it. I mean, it was so disgusting.
Yeah.
It's such a disgusting smell. But not to say that, all of them smell that way. Maybe some
Right.
use Old Spice. I don't know. But
well, it makes me think of their the way that they must live, because I know a lot of theories they talk about them living in caves or underground. And I mean, if you live in that environment and you never have water running on you, you never have the wind blowing through your hair, you got to smell worse, right? And I think that might be part of it, why some do and some don't. And
I didn't ask you, what state did this take place in?
Berea, Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky, man. There's lots of sightings in Kentucky.
Yeah. Yep, Berea, Kentucky. And actually, I forgot to mention those two big booms that we heard. We didn't know what it was that night, but when we went back the second time, and that was the first thing we did, was go to check out what we had heard. And there was a big metal tin pavilion. It had a metal roof on it. And there was a big, like a little dent in it with like a big dirt explosion. And there was a rock on the ground near it. So they were throwing rocks at this metal pavilion. So that's why it was so loud.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it sounds like you guys had a hell of an encounter.
Oh yeah.
And you guys are lucky that you're still here. Some of you anyway, like poor Kenny, I mean, that's terrible. Infrasound is a dangerous weapon. And it can really mess with people. And I've seen people get hit with it, and it causes really a lot of anxiety. I know anxiety and fear and just, all the things that go along with that. So yeah. And so bringing it all home, you're still in the woods.
Yep. Still out there, still looking around. I was a little more on my toes for a while after that. Didn't stop me, but it made me a lot more cautious of how I approach situations, obviously.
Sure. How about UFOs? You've been abducted?
I don't know about abducted. I've had some strange dreams and people are like, you've definitely been abducted. But I will not say that I have. I've had weird dreams, but I've never been cognizant of being lifted up out of my bed in a beam of light or through the wall or anything like that, like other people describe.
Sure.
But I have seen UFOs. I've seen 3 of them.
Oh yeah?
I've seen 3.
And what did they look like?
So the one I saw was actually a large portion of my apartment complex saw at the same time. It was this big V-shaped thing that was real low to the ground, real silent, and hovered over our apartment complex. Me, my neighbor, the building across from them, some of the people that lived up further in the apartment complex came down to see it. And then it just kind of like went up real fast and went away. And so large amount of people saw that. The other one I saw was with me, one of my friend's moms, and then one of my friend, and then somebody else, maybe her brother. I can't remember. Somebody else was there. And it was like this Tic Tac shape. It was shiny, looked metal. It was really far up in the sky, but you could definitely see it. And it was just going like this. And it was just kept doing this. And every now and then it'd go down and do this. And just bob, bob, bob.
How long did that last?
Maybe like 5 to 8 minutes. It was a good amount of time.
5 to 8 minutes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we watched it for a long time.
You didn't film it or anything?
No, I mean, this was, not to tell my age, but this was back before cell phone cameras was even a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, today, we take it for granted. Everyone's got a camcorder in their pocket.
Yeah.
And they can film whatever, whenever. But back in the day, it wasn't that easy to get pictures.
Right. I think I was like 15 or 16. So, but yeah, we saw it all together. And then all of a sudden it was just kind of like faded into the clouds. It was like, but my friend was like, it's disappearing. And I'm like, no, it's going behind the clouds. And she's like, it's disappearing. So we argued about that. And my friend's mom was like, it's going behind the clouds. But that's it. That's when that one went away. And we watched for a long time and it never came back. The other one that I saw was the most exciting. And I actually did have a cell phone with a camera. It was a little Nokia. Cameras were garbage. And I thought about going and getting it. but I didn't, because my biggest fear was I was going to miss how it left. That was what I wanted to see, how it left. So I was outside, and this is back when I was a smoker. I was smoking a cigarette outside, and all of a sudden it was around Halloween. And how I know this is because I thought that for some reason the church was celebrating Halloween, and it had a big floating pumpkin out in front of its front yard. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are they really celebrating Halloween?
When do churches celebrate Halloween?
Right. Yeah, it's not like a church holiday. I was like, that's so weird. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, that's not a pumpkin. That's higher. That's further. And it was just this big orange globe. And I'm watching. I'm like, I should go get my phone. I'm like, you're going to miss it. It's going to be gone the moment you get back. Just watch it. So I didn't. And I'm watching it. And it's just like, it's shrinking. And it just keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until it was literally nothing.
So imploded on itself.
Yeah, like it just went away. It just shrunk back into nothing. And I told my kid's dad about it. I called him on the phone. I'm like, you're not going to believe what I just saw. And I went back outside and waited for so long to see if it was going to come back. And it never did. And I'm on the phone with him, talking to him about it. He goes, that's crazy. And I'm like, why? And he goes, they've had like 6 reports I was listening to on the radio of all these people seeing these orange things in the sky. And I'm like,
oh,
no
wow.
way.
Dang. So,
yeah.
Wow. Just to kind of recap what we've been talking about this episode. Cat's bringing up about poltergeist activity and ghosts and shadow people. Bigfoot in the woods that's right in your face. And now we got UFOs. I mean, you lived a strange and wonderful life in some regards.
There's another cryptid too that she's witnessed.
That one makes my palms sweat.
Okay. Well, you may as well lay that one on. Which cryptid is it this time?
So I've never researched it personally. I mean, I have on my couch. We'll just say I've done some armchair research on it, but I've never actually went out and looked for it personally. This thing came to me, and it was a dog man.
Oh, yeah.
I struggle to call it a dog man because it never stood up on 2 legs. It never like roared or acted crazy or anything like that. But it was very canine-like, stayed on all 4s, had the extra bend in its leg. But it was in my own front yard is where I saw it. And yeah.
Okay. What makes you think it just wasn't a dog? I mean, what gave you the impression it was a man, a dog man?
I didn't even know dog man existed when I saw it.
But did it have like human-like features? I mean, what
no.
would lead you to believe it, was a dog man?
Somebody said it. My description reminds them of what would be a dog man. And that's why I said I struggle to call it a dog man myself, because it didn't fit
I get
the
you.
behavior of a dog man. But it was, to this day, I still don't call it a dog man, but I'll call it a werewolf before I'll call it a dog man. Like I'm comfortable in saying it was a werewolf, I guess, which is still crazy. But I actually bought the property, and within the first few nights I stood outside a lot, because where I've moved from, you couldn't really see the stars. This place, you could see massive amounts of stars. You could see the Milky Way. It was just gorgeous. So I spent a lot of time outside in my front yard the past first nights. And so I'm standing out there and I'm looking up at the stars and I'm just watching them and smoking my cigarette. And all of a sudden I see these 2 little white blobs run from my periphery. Mm-hmm. And I look down, it's 2 possums. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to get where they can't get me. And I don't have to worry about watching my feet. And I can still watch the stars. So I climbed up on my full-size van that I had at the time that was in the driveway. And opposite the full-size van, there was a line of trees that separated mine and the neighbor's property. And it was pine trees. And I'm laying back, and all of a sudden I'm like, got this vibe. I need to just sit up. And I sat up and I'm looking around, and I see what I thought at first was a big fluffy deer in the shadow of the tree line. And it's nighttime, and it's relatively close to a full moon, I guess, just because how bright it was. No connection to the werewolf, just it was really bright. So the trees were casting a shadow and you could see really well. and I'm seeing this shadowy look, what I thought was a fluffy deer in the shadows of the pine trees. It's coming out from behind my house, staying in line with the pine trees. And as it comes out, I'm like watching it. I'm like, that's crazy. That's a huge deer. And I'm not seeing anything, any feet or anything. I'm focusing on the head and the neck because it's so massive.
Yeah.
And then it comes out into the moonlight, and I start seeing its snout, its eyes, its head, its ears. And that's when my heart sank, because I'm like, this is not a deer. This is something. And I called it.
Sounds very large.
It was huge.
I mean, if you're thinking it's a deer, that is a lot. I mean, even if it was like a what they call a lobo wolf, lone wolf.
Yeah.
That would be a huge wolf. I mean, they do get big, don't get me wrong. But to be that tall to where you mistake it for a deer, that's a very large wolf.
Yeah. And well, we don't have, the only wolves we have in Ohio are pet wolves. So we don't even have wolves in Ohio. So, but I'm thinking what I was seeing when I saw it and it came all the way out into the moonlight into my yard, I'm thinking I'm seeing a science experiment gone wrong, because it looked canine-like, but not so much a canine. It had all these weird sort of, its legs bit weird. Its behavior was weird. And I'm watching it. Go ahead. I'm
sorry, but when you say the legs are bent weird, how do you mean? Do you mean that they're bent forward or backwards? I mean, what's that mean?
If you could imagine, like, if a dog were to hunker down, but then it's got this extra bend to keep it still lifted off the ground.
Okay.
So
it's got a weird body structure is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's got something weird about it.
Oh, yeah. The legs, the way they were bent and the way it was like almost crawling but not touching the ground, that was what really stuck with me. That was the first thing I noticed was, what in the world? Was
it aware of you?
I don't know, because it never looked at me, never paid attention to me at first. And I'm like breathing real slow. I'm trying to like slow my heart rate, because at this point it's speeding up, and I'm like trying to just keep calm and try to keep from it noticing me. And I'm just watching it, and it's coming diagonal out from the trees into more like the center of my yard. And as it gets roughly the center of my yard, almost directly in front of me, it stops and it just lifts its head. And I'm like, no, it's caught my scent. It's caught its
scent somewhere. Yeah, it's doing that classic head up, smelling the air around it. Yeah.
And I'm like, my heart's like, and it doesn't look at me, puts its head back down. And as it's coming across the ground, it's almost like panning the ground with its nose. Its nose is panning the ground back and forth and back and forth.
How long was this encounter, would you say?
Oh, gosh. I mean, this is totally a guesstimate, because, I mean, I was fear-ridden. Maybe like under 10 minutes, more than 5, I'd say.
Okay. Because I mean,
maybe right around 5 minutes.
You know, I mean, like when I had my encounter with the Bigfoot, it seemed like it took like an hour, but in reality,
felt like
it was
forever.
over in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, it felt like forever. So I'm really hard at judging the time frame, enough to where it was crawling slowly to the center of my yard. I'm watching it the whole time. Then it lifts its head. Everything it did, it was very slow and methodical. And then,
with a lot of intention. It was, almost sounds like it was on the hunt.
Well, it seemed sickly, because its hair was real fluffy up by its head. It had like the mane. And then as it got down by the shoulders, the hair got real sparse and almost mangy looking. It was real thin around the waist, had a real big chest cavity, a real deep chest cavity. And then its tail got fluffy again. And the hair kind of got a little thicker, but not fluffy, more towards the bottom side of the legs. I mean, I picked this thing apart as I'm watching it, because it was just like, I had enough time to really get a good look at it. And then
I got a question from the audience coming in from email from our listeners in the terrestrial world. How far away from you, it goes, Gwendolyn, can you tell us how far away you were from a Air Force installation?
As for the UFO sightings,
both the UFO and the Dogman, because evidently it says in the email here that those areas, I think you're in Ohio, am I correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some notable Air Force installations in Ohio that
So
people have kind of put together that might have some weird things going on.
I'll be honest with you, I am not sure about the UFO ones. All of those were seen in Owensville, Ohio.
Okay.
So back when this happened, there was a huge ramp up in UFO sightings. In
Sure.
fact, one of them made it onto the news because one of the women actually caught it on camera and actually filmed the police officer watching it, turning its lights on, speeding away, and then coming back with another officer and watching it some more. So the huge ramp up within like a 5-year period for Owensville, Ohio. And it was, I think, 1997.
Man, that is crazy. Yeah. Well, that was during that whole rash. Remember, there was a lot of about the mid 90s. I mean, you had the Phoenix Lights, you had lots of different paranormal things going on in the skies during that time.
Yeah.
I remember the 90s there was filled with a lot of sightings.
Yeah. There was a lot that happened in that area. But as far as how close it was, I'd have to look it up. But if they want to look it up, it was Owensville, Ohio, was where all of my sightings of UFOs occurred.
Wow.
But for the other one, I wasn't near a military base, but I was near an airport for the Bigfoot one. Very small airport.
Well, UFOs and airports, they kind of go hand in hand, don't they? I mean, you hear a lot about UFOs at airports and at Air Force installations. A lot of missile silos have a lot of UFO activity.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would stand to reason that, there's, stuff like that going on too. But that's crazy. You have led quite the life.
Yeah. Yeah. But the dog man ended up coming towards me.
We're still the dog man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So the dog man, when he lifted his head, he just put his head down, didn't acknowledge me, didn't look at me, just turned my direction, came back towards me, and got right underneath my feet. It was weird because when he got under my feet, it was almost like he shifted, to get directly parallel with the van before he lifted up. And then my mind went blank. Fear took over. I blinked out. Don't remember really what it looked like up close, just that it lifted itself up and then it lowered itself back down, took the same exact path back to where it started to come at me, angled, shifted itself back in the direction it was originally going, and went into the tree line. As soon as it hit the shadow of the trees, jumped off the van, ran inside, immediately lost every bit of energy I had. I could have fallen asleep right then.
Did you tell anyone what happened?
Yeah, I was telling the kid's dad. I ran inside and slammed the door, and I went to lay against it, and then I was like, it's a glass door, and I hurried up and got off of it, and I was telling him, I just saw this big giant dog, I don't know, this thing outside, and you need to come outside. And so he grabs his gun, he comes outside, and he's looking for it, never saw it. And I'm standing kind of behind him and the friend that was in the house with him. And he was laughing and making a joke out of it. But I made him sit down with me for months afterwards. And I was looking up, what would you get if you crossed a wolf and a bear and a hyena? What would you get if you crossed a wolf and a person?
Well, you're just trying to make sense of what you encountered.
And we were Googling just constantly. I made him. And he was like, I think you saw a black wolf. And I'm like, show me a black wolf. And I'm like, no, that's not what I saw. I was this thing was huge. Yeah.
Huh. Dang. That is something else. I have no explanation for that one. That is really weird. That's unlike any other dogman encounter I've heard of.
Right. Exactly. But it was weird. That airport that I was talking to you about, that place gave me weird vibes because you could never talk to anybody there. They always kept the doors locked. I worked for the sheriff's department in that area for a little bit after that incident occurred. And I would have to go out to all these different calls and stuff. And I had to go out there one time because there was something that had been seen in the roadway and people were worried about it. So I went out there and I was looking for it. And then I saw this big black thing dart down, or big brown thing dart down into the drain pipe area. And I'm trying to look, and this guy pulls up and he stops. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, excuse me, I'm on duty. And he's like, no, you need to tell me what you're doing. He's like, are you looking for something? It was just weird how he was that place was just weird. And in my head, like, you know how you try to like, you know, connect the dots. I'm like, maybe like there's something weird going on at that place. And maybe this thing was something from there, because
that's a commercial airport, right? You're talking about it's a commercial airport.
No, it's private.
It's a private airport.
Yeah, it's private.
That is interesting.
Yeah,
that is very interesting. And so they didn't. It seems like they didn't want you poking around their private airport.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
It was weird.
That and mom was the word, I'm sure, from all of them. If you went to go talk to them.
Yeah.
And you were a sheriff's deputy at the time?
Well, yeah, I was deputized by the sheriff's department, but I actually worked animal control. So that's why I was getting called out to this strange animal sighting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, then that I don't know what to tell you on that one. That's weird. That is really weird. Huh.
Yeah, it was weird.
Anything from you there, Abe? You look like you're inquisitive over there, thinking.
You know, I'm thinking about, you know, when you guys were out in Kentucky, if there was a military installation base around that area. You said it was owned by a school of some kind, that property. Was there also like a military installation base at all?
Out in Berea?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I really didn't do a whole lot of research on other things in that area. So, I mean, that's a good question. That might be something I have to look into.
The reason I ask is brother in research, Joey Cook, he was in the Army and he had his sighting on military installation base. And Joe, you're right. There's a lot of military installation bases, nuclear silos that have the UFO sightings of aliens and also Bigfoot encounters and stuff like that. So it was making me ask. Going back into the beginning of the show, you mentioned you talked about your mom. Do you think your mom was also into the same thing that you're into? You think she kind of dabbled around with all this stuff prior to you being born?
No, not at all.
No,
not at all. She had some pretty wild experiences with ghosts, but never obviously any cryptids or anything like that. But she didn't like to talk about the ghost stuff. She didn't even talk about the ghost stuff until we were older. And I had already experienced a lot and kind of opened that door to communicate about it.
Right. And that's what makes me ask that question, is because it sounds like maybe she knew of something and she was maybe just sitting back and waiting. I don't know. And this could just be blowing it out, because it almost seemed like she was waiting for you to come to her.
I don't know. No? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, you did say that she had encounters before you were born.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then she had encounters after, and that she didn't want to speak of.
Right.
You know, that she didn't come out openly with you and say, well, this is what I saw too, until it got to a tipping point, it seems like.
Right.
And that's when she came clean with you.
Yeah. It was probably about 5 years after she realized what I was experiencing was legit and it wasn't just fear and my mind playing tricks on me. 5 years after she found out it was legit was when she finally started telling me her ghost stories from when she was younger and when I was a baby.
Mm.
Yeah.
So she finally did open up.
Finally, yeah. But prior to that, I tell her what was going on. And
did you guys compare notes? I mean, did she see the same things you were seeing?
No. Actually, oh my gosh. So when my mom bought their first house with my dad, they decided to knock down a wall. And when they knocked down the wall, they felt a cold gust of air. And then after that, she started seeing this shadow man.
So they broke the seal, so to speak, on something that maybe they shouldn't have broke a seal on. And that wouldn't be the first time I've heard that. Somebody opening a door or doing this or doing that and feeling that breeze coming out and then having nothing but problems.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I worked a case where an individual every morning at 3 a.m. knocks on the door every single morning, and he'd go look for the people, nothing would be there. One day he decided that he would open the door, and then nothing but a giant gust of wind hit him. After that, he had nothing but demon problems.
Wow.
I mean, it was terrible. Like serpents in his house. It was really bad.
Yeah, and after I started investigating, I have heard multiple things like that as well. My mom's was the first story I'd ever heard like that. But Joel, I think you just connected a crazy dot that I never thought of before, because I'd never done that. I never thought about that story and connect it to my stuff, because she said nothing ever happened after they moved out of the house, but she would tell me how my sister was the oldest, and she told me how she would come in and see the shadow man looking over top of the crib, just watching my sister, and almost
So
like
wait, now that's not inherently bad on its own, right?
no,
Because there's a lot of times that people will discuss seeing a shadow entity looking at a child.
Mhm.
It's actually like a grandparent that's passed, or it's done this, or it's done that. It's not always bad, but it's not always good either.
yeah.
But
No,
what you're saying with opening the door,
Mhm.
interfering with that really makes a lot of sense now. Because once you open the door, broke the seal, let whatever it was in there out. As odd and crazy and Hollywood as that seems,
It wasn't bad.
so it wasn't bad. It wasn't like
No.
it wasn't bad intentioned.
No,
But
she felt like it was protective of my sister, and
Okay,
she
do you
felt like
think
it was
you had-
grateful.
Do you think you had good entities and bad entities?
Yes.
You think you had a mixed bag?
And the in between.
Okay. So
Yes.
now when you say the good, the bad, and the in between, well, let's start with the good. Do you think that those were just normal human being spirits that
Yes.
maybe were haunting that area?
Yes.
And the in between were probably like an elemental, right?
Tulpas, elementals,
Right.
egregores.
Okay. Now the bad, of course, was probably the puppet master that would manipulate the other spirits to do things.
Yes. Or a
'Cause that's
very
not
negative
uncommon.
person in life.
It's not very uncommon, because a lot of times demons like to work in the shadows.
Mhm.
And what they will do is they'll manipulate lower spirits to do things so they never come out into the open.
Yeah. I've actually had an experience with just something like that. So it's crazy that you say that, because not crazy, but awesome that you say that, because I've had an investigation where I dreamed that this negative spirit was controlling this little boy prior to me going to the place. Then I go to the place and I just keep feeling like there's just this like little puppet with like these little
Sure.
wooden legs that is just tap dancing around us and messing with us.
Almost like a marionette, like it's
Yeah.
controlling it. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing of it is I dealt with a case, this gal I knew that was her son would stand in one spot for 10 hours, 12 hours at night and just stand there and stare. and then it just got worse and worse and worse to where, the attack started. It really just kind of went from there. But that's how the oppression would work, because it was physically wearing this kid down is what it was doing. Because a lot of times demons can't get in until they wear you down. And whether that's mentally or physically.
Yeah.
They got to get you. They have to make you a willing host.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I've noticed a lot of people that I've worked with, it tends to be very mental aware.
Sure.
Because when your mental defense is down, things can get in easier.
Well, that's the thing. You see these people that want to challenge demons, right? And they're like, come get me. I'm big and bad. They wait. They don't have to do it today. They have nothing but time. They're going to wait till you're at your lowest. That's when they're going to strike.
Yeah. Because when they work slowly, you don't realize what's happening,
Well,
because it's happening so slow.
It's the frog in the boiling water, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what's happening until it's too late. And by the time it's too late, it's too late.
Yeah.
And then intervention has to happen. And that is an ugly thing when intervention does have to happen. I've always sat through one exorcism, and that is enough for me.
Yeah.
Personally.
That would be enough.
Yeah, it was enough. It proved to me they're real. Yep. How a 98-pound girl could pick up a 300-pound man, throw him around like nothing, and levitate? Yeah, you tell me how that happened.
Yeah, I kind of experienced an exorcism of sorts, but nothing like that. But it was quite.
Yeah.
It's shocking, because that one was more multiple voices. and
Sure.
the complete changing of the face. It was almost like even the facial structure changed. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Well, that means that they're in the oppression phase more than anything else.
Yeah.
They're still in that oppression stage. But the change of the face, that's problematic.
Yeah.
Because that means now they can manipulate them physically. That means that they're a little bit deeper in there. Yeah, demons are subject matter I know a lot about, but I don't like to talk about them a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. It brings it in.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Because what you put out in the universe, you get back.
100%. Yeah.
So your mom, you, your sister, how old your daughter? Have they seen any?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so then my next question is going to go down to the baby.
Yeah.
I mean, they say
I don't
kids
know about
are
the baby, but
the younger ones. They can see things. They can pick up things like animals can pick up on things.
yeah.
Just kept wondering if it's going like that, it might be something that's.
Was it like a pecking order that was going on?
That's what I'm picking up.
I mean, maybe because my kids experienced some pretty harrowing stuff growing up around me, and my grandson lives with me, and I actually caught on camera a really weird thing. Like all of a sudden, my grandson woke up screaming bloody murder, which is not like him. It was quite frightening, and I ran in there and I was like looking like what just happened, and so I'm looking and I don't see anything, and my cat is like acting weird. I'm like, why are you acting like that? So I pull up the camera.
More with the cats.
Well, I have 2 cats. So ever since then, these cats love me, and I just
I bet.
I'm not a cat person, but they just find me.
Not. You just have 50 of them.
I have 2. I have 2. But my cat was in the middle of my grandson's room, and he's watching something. He goes like this, and he goes up, and then goes down and looks at the baby crib, and then my grandson screams.
Mm-hmm.
And then he looks back over again, and then you see a shadow on the camera. And then he runs off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, something definitely happened.
Yeah.
So I called my daughter into the room, and I showed her on video, and she goes, what do we do? And I said, you just got to lay down the law. Like, you're not going to behave like this. Don't mess with us. Like ultimately, I really feel like we have control of this space. This is our domain, and we really do have control over it. We set rules, and then if those aren't followed, there's other options we can take. And that's basically what you have to spell out when things get out of control, because that's what happens in my house. It's like things are very playful, childish seeming at first, and then it goes on and it becomes almost aggressive.
But that's how it begins, though. Every time it begins that playful, right? It lulls you in. It's classic, what they do. It's never bad in the beginning.
Right.
Like there's been plenty of stories of, well, it wasn't that bad in the beginning. It was kind of fun having the thing around, it would do this, it'd do that. And then it got worse and it got worse and it got worse. So, it's one of them deals of just because it's fun at the moment doesn't mean you want it hanging around that long, So, you're right. You got to take a stand. You got to tell, hey, this is my place, not yours.
Set the borders.
You don't have that right to manipulate me, harass me, stuff like that. You got to take that stand, because inherently we all have that power to take that stand.
Yeah.
Yep, set the boundaries.
Yep, 100%. But I feel like I've lived my life in a war zone. But when it dies down and it stays quiet for several months, life almost feels boring. And
so you've almost got a weird Stockholm syndrome thing going on there. Is you kind of like the paranormal excitement.
Yeah. And I guess that is true, because I go out seeking it. And sometimes I go out for the research. Sometimes I go out because I want to experience what the place has to offer, and, different reasons.
Yeah. I can't say I'm not unlike you, because obviously I go out looking for it too.
Yeah.
But I 9 times out of 10, I'm called in to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Lot. That's what I find. That's my lot in life, I guess, is to go in and deal with it after I'm called in to deal with it. I actually try to live as low key life as I can.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Yeah.
Until I have to do otherwise.
Right.
And but that being said, I mean, don't you just part of you just wants it to stay away though, right? I mean, like, just
I
go
mean, I've
back to a
experienced
normal.
it where
I would say a
life feels
normal,
normal.
you know,
I've
I mean,
experienced almost normal life.
yeah,
And
but it's boring.
it's fun at first. It's like, oh, the sense of relief, and I feel so much better. I don't have to like feel like something's hovering over my shoulder, and it's like that for a while, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, nothing's happening. This is kind of boring. I miss the excitement.
Gwendolyn, that's a little on the danger side.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, in my opinion, that's a little dangerous because you're welcoming it in.
No, I never, ever, ever speak it.
But
I never.
But you ever say "get out of here" to it?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
even though you enjoy the rush and the high,
Yeah.
of the paranormal being around you, you also know that there's a line in the sand it doesn't cross.
Yeah, and when it crosses it and it doesn't listen to the ground rules I set out, then it's got to go. And that's what I had to do after my mom passed away, when it got really, really, really bad. And I almost didn't think I had control of the situation. And I just really had to like mentally get stronger to handle it, because I was mentally worn after my mom passed.
Mm-hmm,
mm-hmm.
So tell me, when it does happen, is it for 3 months, 6 months? How long does it last when you do have an outbreak, for lack of a better term?
It doesn't last longer than a month usually.
Okay.
Usually never longer than a month.
So discharges pretty fast. Pretty
quickly, yeah. And then there's the lingering few things that'll happen after that. That's very diminished, very minute. And then it just goes away for a period of time. How long that is, you just don't know. You never know.
That's. Have you ever invited an outside person to come in and investigate this?
Yes, one time.
And what did they find?
It didn't go well. They actually used some very, what I would call, I disagree with methods. And almost it felt like it brought more things in. And I'm like, you're opening doors and bringing more stuff.
Were they fairly provocative when they came in? Like, were they doing the whole provoking thing?
Oh, gosh,
the anger? Yeah.
Well, provocative, using Ouija boards, things like that. Yeah. You already know, Joel.
Wow. Well, now, just to throw it out there, I mean, I ain't no perfect person, but I'm telling you right now, leave them damn Ouija boards alone.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many times I've gone into a case and they have invited something in using a Ouija board or using even a pendulum. Yeah. Anything that opens you up. And even some people say even doing EVP work will open you up. And it does. Mm-hmm. Everybody can say, well, EVPs are fun. It's the same intention you're putting out there as when 100%. You do use a Ouija board.
It's a doorway you're opening. It's only electronic.
It's still a doorway. So you got to kind of tread lightly and understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Be learned in what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to leave the person, when you leave that home after you investigate, tenfold worse.
Yeah.
Than when you showed up. So, okay, getting back, you brought these people in, they whip out the Ouija board and they go, hey, we're going to contact your grandma or whoever it is that they want to talk to. They get on the Ouija board, and what happens?
A new thing was in the home that I was not familiar with.
Oh,
and it was
Gwendolyn.
Basically, I saw a woman. It was the craziest thing I've probably seen. The lights were on. It was like this woman that came out of this big black shadow out of the corner, was laying in my bed, lights in my bedroom were on, looked up at the ceiling. There's this big black mass with this woman coming out of it. I immediately sat up, and it was she was very shadow-esque. So you couldn't see like a lot of definition. You could just tell it was a female with hair. Mm-hmm. And I shot up and I'm like, nope. You got to go. You're out. Done. You're leaving. You got to go. You don't belong here. You weren't here to start with. But this happened after they left.
Oh, sure. I mean, you get was it evil feeling? Did you get evil feeling?
It felt like the beginning of something evil. It felt like it was a mental tactic on me. And I was just like, nope, we ain't having this. Not at my home.
Dang.
Yeah. It was
Dang.
one of the craziest things I saw with the lights on.
So did you then tell these would-be paranormal investigators you guys kind of screwed the pooch?
I didn't talk to him after that.
Well, yeah, I suppose
Yeah,
that would have been the best thing.
I didn't even tell them that. I just delete, block, done.
Yeah,
You don't belong in the paranormal field.
unfortunately, there's a lot out there like that.
Yes,
You know, that's the unfortunate part is there's, they know just about enough to be, get themselves in trouble, and then unfortunately get you in trouble right along with it.
Yeah,
wow.
And I knew it was going to happen, and I tried to say, this is you're not communicating with the things that are here when you're bringing a Ouija board. You're actually opening a doorway to talk to other things in my home and invite them in. And
that's just it. You don't know what you're talking to. I mean, they all begin nice. They all begin like, well, they all want to pretend they're someone or someone that passed away or something. They know, they know to read your minds. They know your intentions. They know what you've gone through, all that stuff. Wow, that is sad that happened to you.
Yeah, it was. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a paranormal investigator. If my house needs investigating, I'm just going to do it myself. But I tell you what, is something I never investigate is my own home.
And why not?
Because, like you said, you got to tread lightly. Because when you use an ITC device, when you use EVP, when you use these equipment, you're reaching out to something, and you could be opening a doorway to invite other things in. And I've got my animals here. I've got my kids here. And I'm just not willing to risk it. So our methodology is you ignore what's here unless it bothers you. Because when you ignore it, it fades faster. When you give it attention, it feeds it.
Well, that, a lot of times what will happen is people will start messing around their own home and they'll have spirits that aren't even aware that they're there, that they're even sharing the same space until they reach out to them.
Right. And to be honest with you, I've had enough happen without talking to them. I don't need to talk to them.
You're good. You're good. You don't need any coffee buddies or anything. No, you're golden.
Yeah.
You're golden. So what's next for you two with your show and everything else? What's next? I mean, moving forward, what's next for Gwendolynn Guthrie?
Well, I have August 15th and 16th, the Irons, Michigan Bigfoot Conference. There's the QR code there for tickets. It is going to be a very family fun friendly event. It is coming up quickly. I'm like starting to get hot just thinking about it. It's going to be my first big conference. So I would love it if people could support it. And it's also going to support the local community in Irons, Michigan. It's a very, very, very out of the way place. They're very much looking forward to a large group of people coming in and eating at their restaurants. So we're not serving concessions and food and stuff at the conference. We'll have bags of chips, water, sodas, things like that. Simple stuff. We really want to push people that are coming to see the conference out to go eat local.
Yeah, to go spend some money locally.
Places.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So it's coming up August 15th and 16th. Grab your tickets. There's vendor spots still available. And it's going to be fun. But I know Abe's got something going on. You're muted.
Yeah, no, I know. I wasn't ready for that.
There was a pause, like, what? Do you want me to fill in the blanks for a second?
So, I mean, this coming Thursday on the Fool's Mystery, we have Nathan Baronis coming back on. He was just on this past Thursday, and I met him in West Branch, Michigan, many, many years ago when the guy was like 19 years old or something like that. And lo and behold, this guy, we lost contact, and he just happens to pop in the whole mystery chat room. I'm like, hey, is that? So we connected, had him come on the show. He is great. Now he's in his 30s. He's married. He's got a kid, and he's still squatching. We shared a bonfire with Dr. Meldrum, and I remember the conversation being about the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, their stomach, and their stomach might be able to break down like the difference between an ungulate having a chambered stomach and stuff like that, because they have the same, I guess you could say, diet as much as a bear or even us. So, we were just kind of going on that, and it was a great conversation. I said to the kid, I said, when you get older and out of school, give us a call. We got a place on the team for you. Well, lo and behold, he goes, does all that, but he goes all the way out to the PNW. And he's hooking up out there with Chris Spencer, Rebecca Slick, who is the granddaughter of Tom Slick, who used to fund Peter Burns expeditions. So, cool, goosebumps. So we're having them come back on the show. We're talking about physical anthropology. We're talking about Bigfoot. We're talking about, oh my gosh, because it was such a great show. We had him come back on. There was so much more to cover, I feel. So
his ITC devices. His ITC devices are just, I cannot wait till they come out onto the market for the general public, because I'm getting one.
Very cool. Very cool to hear. You guys got some great guests lined up. And then this October, of course, Abe, you and I.
Even before October, this July, for everybody who's listening and tuning in on the Iron Range, Reamer, Minnesota is having their Bigfoot Days, their Bigfoot Festival. That's going to be July 10th and 11th. So everybody come on down. You're going to have, Joe's going to be there. We'll have a kissing booth for him.
That's right, baby.
Oh, man, I can't be there.
And then, that'll be fun. It's always a good time when you go to Reamer for Bigfoot Days.
Yeah.
And then that is a whole weekend of activities. We're going to be there. Abe's going to be there. We're going to be doing our thing that we do every year. Yeah. And then, of course, October rolls around. Yeah. And we got some great speakers. Any speakers?
We do, absolutely. We got speakers coming up for the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference. It's going to be the 7th conference this year. We have, 3 speakers. Well, we announced 2 speakers. But we're going to announce another one tomorrow. Screw it. We're going to announce it right now. How about that?
No, who is it?
Well, so to start off, we have Renee Holland from Finding Bigfoot and Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot coming. We have the son of Paul Freeman from the famed Freeman footage coming, and author of the Freeman Bigfoot Files. And last but not least, we have a guy who's been in paranormal research and investigations, who's author in 5 books. He just started up his own radio show. Well, not his own radio show, but continuing it because of high demand and everything like that. He's been on The Fold Mystery. He's been on a couple other different shows. He's going to be appearing on Coast to Coast AM as well. We're talking about the host of After Hours AM, Mr. Joel.
Oh, yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I am looking forward to it. We're going to take a deep dive into the Minnesota Iceman.
Yes, yes.
Just because I come from that area, I have some keen insight on that tale. And there is more to that story than that has ever been put out there. And there's a lot more to that tale that needs to come out. Also, so I look forward to it.
It's going to be great. And so also we are having somebody who's an influencer from YouTube. He is sponsoring one of the speakers, and they're going to be coming out there as well. And he's also pretty prevalent in the Bigfoot community too. So that's going to be coming. He's going to be coming with his wife. It's going to be great, and it's going to be a good time. Gwendolynn, were you going to be able to make it to Reamer in July or not?
Not at Reamer, because remember I was looking at the flight tickets.
Right. Well, we can't poo-poo it just yet. If I could do anything to get you out there, I'm going to do it. So I think that'd be great. I think you'd have a great time. So yeah, that's what's kind of going on. Other than that, back to field research this coming week. I will probably be heading back up north.
I don't want to cut you off, Abe. Are you not going to tell us who this YouTube influencer is?
Oh, wow.
You got me sitting on the edge of my seat here.
Really? Okay, well, his name is Jeffrey R. Thomas.
Yeah,
cool. Jeffrey R. Thomas. I was going to leave that for a different time, but since you twisted my arm, where's the uncle?
I didn't want to do that, but you gave such a great intro. I was like, oh my gosh, who is it?
Who is that guy? What are you talking about?
Jeffrey R. Thomas. He does a lot of Gen X stuff on his YouTube page and stuff like that.
Very cool.
I've known Jeffrey for many years. And sponsorship. I mean, if whoever wants, we're looking for sponsors. We have different sponsorship levels, and sponsorship is one of the main ways why we're able to hold on to the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference and going strong with that. So we're always looking for sponsors, different sponsorship levels. If you're interested, please, by all means, contact us at our Minnesota Facebook page. We also have 3-day VIP passes as well. We have, here, get this, everybody, real close now. We have 2 amazing MCs at this year's conference.
Oh, yeah?
Well, yeah, I mean, we do it right? And one of the MCs, he's been, he's actually a member of the Minnesota Bigfoot research team. He's my brother from another mother. I love the guy. Every time I go to see him, I usually bring some sugar for the kids. Leave it with
There you go.
Well, yeah. I hightail it back out of there.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Joel Sturgis is going to be also MCing.
Yeah,
and he does a great job with town hall meeting and everything like that. And our another special MC is none other than the host of the Fold Mystery, Miss Gwendolynn Guthrie. So, yeah!
It's a full weekend. Make sure you go to all these events that we mentioned. Make sure you look everything up. Track down Gwendolyn on Facebook. She's very accessible. If you have questions, she has answers. You can always talk to me whenever you like everybody always does. And I love that. And then Abe, he's always very out there for you guys too. So all of us can be contacted. And don't forget, we got those investigations coming up. I mentioned at the top of the show. We got June 20th, and then we got July 31st, the Boyd House of July 31st, and then we run over to the Greyhound Bus Museum. That'll be on the 20th. Got a few other things in the hopper, but the biggest stuff, of course, is the events. And we also love that you tuned in tonight to this rehashing, reloading, relaunching of the one, the only After Hours AM. Thank you guys so much. It was you guys that brought the show back. It was everybody asking where I've been. We're back, baby, and we're not going anywhere. Until then, guys, like I always said before, and I still mean it today, take care of each other and love each other.
Squatch on.